Hi everyone, it's Shannon and welcome to today's video. So today's video I'm so excited to do. I've been thinking about doing this video for a while, and now that I just came back from my most recent cruise on board the Freedom of the Seas, I decided I'm gonna do it. So I want to put together a video basically saying Disney Cruise Line versus Royal Caribbean and which one is best. So basically I came up with 13 different categories and I am going to pick a winner in each category, and there may be a tie in a couple of the categories, but I really wanted to give an overview as far as a comparison of the two cruise lines. One of the things I see a lot online is people that are either fans of Royal Caribbean or fans of Disney Cruise Line. There's this need to say this one's the best and everything else pretty much sucks. And I want to tell people, like, that's not always the case. There's different cruise lines for different people. For example, I have cruised on Princess as well as Celebrity, and while they were great cruises, the cruise line and the feel just wasn't my jive. It wasn't, our speed. And while we had a great time, I don't remember which Celebrity ship we went on, but we went on one of the Celebrity ships and it really just wasn't for us. We really geared back towards Royal Caribbean. Now, I am diamond status on Royal Caribbean. I have been cruising Royal Caribbean pretty consistently. I want to say since 2005. We did take a break from cruising when my son was born because just that kind of age between 1 and 3.5, 4, where they're not really potty trained. It's kind of it's hard time to bring a child on a cruise ship when they can't use the pools, but they know they can't use the pools. So it's just kind of hard. So we kind of skipped cruising during that time frame. But we cruised a lot. My husband and I cruised a lot when we were dating. When we got married, we would take, a really long, week-long cruise every year. We were on the Navigator of the Seas in Europe, I want to say in 2013. So we've done quite a bit of cruises. Most of the cruises are Caribbean because we live in South Florida and we don't like to travel to go to a cruise. We have traveled to go on the Disney Cruise Line, on the Disney Dream, but even last year when we went on the Disney Magic, it was the one that left out of Miami. So I am a fan of both cruise lines, and that's what I want to say this. I think both cruise lines are fantastic, and I think they're more similar than people think. There's obviously some areas where Disney excels, and there's some areas that actually Royal Caribbean excels, but I think there's more similarity, and I wanted to kind of give like pros and cons and comparison between the two, and then say, okay, this is the one, this cruise line actually does better in this category, but the other one does better in that category. So I came up with 13 different categories. I'm going to go through each of them and kind of give a comparison, and then we'll tally up the results at the end and see who wins. Now, before we get started, I did say we are diamond on Royal Caribbean. I've been cruising quite a bit on Royal Caribbean, and I've only been on 2 Disney cruises. I was on the Disney Dream in December 2016 for our son's first birthday, and then we were on the Disney Magic for a Marvel Day at Sea in February 2020, which is crazy that we cruised in 2020, but we did. So those are the only 2 Disney cruises that we have done. I will say, this is kind of an announcement. I did announce it on Instagram and on a little short, but if you have heard of the Year of Wishes Disney Cruise Line Sweepstakes, they are basically giving away 50 3-night cruises on board the Disney Wish for the pre-inaugural sailing the first week of June, and my family won the first month, which was in June. We were notified yesterday, as I'm recording this, we were notified yesterday that we were winners. And I honestly at first thought it was a scam because it sent a DM via Instagram. So I thought it was a scam. And then I realized, I went to the official rules and it said that they would send you a DM via Instagram. I realized it was the actual Disney Cruise Line, account. And we won. So my family and I are going to be on the Disney Wish. I think it's June 5th through the 8th. It is actually the pre-inaugural sailing. So we are going to be one of the first people to be on board the ship. I am so excited and I cannot wait. I thought it would be years before we would be able to get on the Disney Wish. So I'm very, very excited. Just so blessed. But I will post a link below to the Year of Wishes website. It's basically yearofwishes.com. Enter the sweepstakes. You can enter via Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. And if you're wondering, like, do people really win these contests? Yes, they do. So with that, let's go ahead and get started with the first category, and that is going to be price. So I think you know who's gonna come ahead in this one, and that is going to be Royal Caribbean. Royal Caribbean is going to win this category, no doubt. I mean, it's no secret that Disney Cruise Line is expensive. There's only 4 ships right now. There will be 5 ships as of June 2022. And it's a premium. You pay the premium to go on Disney Cruise Line. And what we're going to talk about is whether or not it's worth it. Now, for our family, it was absolutely worth it. We had an amazing time on Marvel Day at Sea. But, I mean, we also went on the Royal Caribbean Freedom of the Seas, and we had an amazing time on that cruise. So it's a different experience. So what I would say is with, Royal Caribbean and Disney Cruise Line, they're different products, but we still had an amazing time. And so price, absolutely, Royal Caribbean is going to win. We just rebooked booked again a sailing on the Freedom of the Seas for a weekend in January, and I priced out the same exact weekend on board the Disney Dream. Now that would have required us to travel to Port Canaveral instead of leaving out of our home port of Miami, and the cruise was more than double. I mean, we're paying I think it was just over $1,000 for 3 of us for a spacious ocean view. So not even the cheapest cabin. We could have gone a smaller cabin and paid a couple $100 less, but we decided to go for a spacious ocean view stateroom, and we're paying just about $1,000, everything included. And when I priced it out in Disney, the cheapest stateroom, which was an inside guarantee, was $2,300. So it was more than double. So price, Royal Caribbean is gonna win this one. Now, the second category is going to be the staterooms. So I'm talking about the regular staterooms. I'm not talking about the suites, the concierge, because let's be honest, most of us aren't going to see those staterooms. At least I'm not. We're talking about the regular staterooms. And the winner in this category is going to be Disney Cruise Line. Now, not to say that the staterooms in Royal Caribbean are bad. They're great. They're very comfortable. But Disney Cruise Line has really thought about staterooms for a family. They have many of them, not all of them. I think the category 11 is the only ones that don't have the split bathroom, but they all have the bathtub. Like, that's huge to have a bathtub, especially when you have children. My son does not like showers. He does not like showers. So when we don't have a stateroom with a bathtub, which has happened, it's just a fight. We can do it for a couple days, but if we're doing a week-long cruise, it's just going to be, that bath time is going to be very, very stressful. But, Disney Cruise Line, they have that split bathroom where you have the, shower and toilet in one, and then, so you have 2 sinks, 2 people can get ready. It's just so convenient. Has that, I mean, it's just really thought for families. So, and then the stateroom design, I think they're designed a little better. Now, with Royal Caribbean staterooms, they are, with the newer ships, they're more designed more sleeker and more modern with the USB ports. But in the stateroom that we were in on the Freedom, it had not been updated. The ship went through a full refurbishment in 2020, just before the shutdown. The rooms were not. I had 2 plugs. That was it. There was no USB ports. So staterooms, Disney Cruise Line gets this one. Now, the third category is main dining. So we're talking about the actual food, not the entertainment and everything. So we're just talking about the main food. And so at Disney Cruise Line, you have what's called rotational dining. So you have basically 3 different restaurants, and you keep your servers, but you rotate. And I know on the Magic, we spent 3 nights in Rapunzel's Royal Table, and then 1 night in Artist Palette, and then the 3rd night in Lumiere's. And so we had, but we got to enjoy each restaurant at least once. When we were on the Dream, we got to enjoy all 3 one time, but we kept our servers. I think that's a very unique way of doing things. It's great. The only problem with a 3-night cruise is if you want to do like a specialty dining, you're going to have to pick a night miss. And especially even on the Magic, when we had 5 nights, some people had had selected a one night to, go to do Palo. They didn't know what the rotational dining was, so they missed the night at Rapunzel's Royal Table. That was the show. So they had a choice of, do I miss the Rapunzel's Royal Table show, or do I, keep my reservation at Palo? So that's the only thing about the rotational dining, is that you might miss something because if you want to do something out, but I'm not going to take that. But the food was fantastic in all 3. I remember Lumiere's was actually one of our favorites, but I remember all the food was fantastic. It was great. And the same thing goes with Royal Caribbean. Now, Royal Caribbean is the traditional dining. You have your table, you have your same servers and everything. That doesn't change, but you have the same table. You kind of know where you're going. It's the familiarity. I like that too. Both are great. They're different experiences, but I don't not like having the same table every night. I kind of do. It's really nice. And then also with that is that, you may miss like a certain dish, but you're not missing a certain experience if you choose to eat elsewhere on a particular night. Now, with that said, the food on the Freedom of the Seas this past cruise was amazing. I mean, I had the lobster tails and I had salmon and then beef tenderloin one night. All the meals were incredible, just like they were on the Magic. And I remembered the Dream and the Symphony. We went on the Symphony in May 2019. So in this category, I got to do it. It's a draw. It's a draw on this one. I think both are fantastic. And I think both are great experiences. If you love the rotational dining on Disney, it's great. But don't think that sitting, having the same table every night in the main dining room is a lesser experience, because it's not. It's a different experience, but it's definitely not lesser. Okay, so for category number 4, we have the buffet and other food options. So on the Royal Caribbean ships, you have the Windjammer, or if you watch a Royal Caribbean blog, and Matt, he calls it the Windjammer. So I call it the Windjammer, and I always loved the Windjammer. It was I've always enjoyed it. And this last cruise, I really love that they serve you. Personally, that was something I really loved, because when they served you, nobody really lingered. So I don't know if I'm sure that's something that that Disney Cruise Line is going to adapt when they restart. I kind of hope they keep that. I kind of hope they keep where the people serve you, because there was less lingering, because people knew that somebody else was waiting to get served. So there was less lingering around the food, which I thought was fantastic. But going back to the food on the Windjammer was fantastic. I mean, at lunch, I had filet mignon, I think the day we were at Nassau. It was amazing. And they had a grilled, the hot dogs, the hamburgers. The food on the island was fantastic. I had barbecue chicken, was amazing. So much that I had gotten my son a hot dog, and then he saw my barbecue chicken, and then he wanted barbecue chicken. So it was great. They also had El Loco Fresh. It was like the taco bar. Amazing. They had a taco bar on Coco Cay. Just a lot of great options. They have the Sorrentos and the Cafe Promenade on the Royal Promenade on Deck 5, which was great. And the same thing, I remember the same thing on the Symphony. Obviously, the Oasis class ships have more options. There was the Solarium Bistro. You have Playmakers, just a lot of options for food. Same thing goes for Disney Cruise Line. Disney Cruise Line Cabanas, the same thing. I loved Cabanas. I'm not a foodie. I'm not picky with my food. I'm only picky because I can't eat gluten, but that's as far as my pickiness goes. And that's just because I literally cannot eat gluten. But they had a lot of, I remember the shawarma on the pool deck was amazing. My son he's very picky with pizza. He loved the pizza on the Disney Magic. So there was a lot of great options. Obviously, the Disney Magic is a smaller ship, but there was a lot of great food options. So the larger ships are going to have more food options, but the same thing on, the Disney Dream. It's been a couple years, but I remember just loving the food. So there's so many great options. The food on Castaway Cay was also incredible. Same type of thing, hot dogs, hamburgers, barbecue chicken, but just as good. So again, I hate to do it, but it's a draw. I don't think one has better other food options than the other. Now, I will say, as far as specialty dining, Royal Caribbean is going to have more options. You have Chops Grill, Giovanni's Table. Some of the ships have the Chef's Table, the Wonderland. I've never eaten there. we're not big on specialty dining. We didn't do, there's Disney Cruise Line has Palo and Remy on the Dream and the Fantasy. We've never done those specialty dining. So I really can't compare them. So I didn't really want to put that category in here. But obviously the bigger the ship, the more specialty options you're going to have. But I didn't have enough experience. But I think you have two really great restaurants on the Dream and the Fantasy. One on the Palo, which is really well known, on the Magic and the Wonder, and then there's a lot of options. Obviously the bigger ships have more options, but I'm gonna say it's a draw for other food because I think they all have spectacular dining. Okay, so sticking on the topic of food, we're gonna talk about room service. Which one has better room service? Well, this one's easy because room service on Disney Cruise Line is free. You can get it whenever you want, and it's 100% free. You just have to tip your delivery person, but that's it. And you can even just room service a Mickey bar, which we did one time. Now, Royal Caribbean, the only time it is complimentary is in the morning, and it's continental breakfast. And honestly, you're better off going to the buffet. We did the room service on the morning of Nassau. The coffee was okay. The coffee was really what I needed, but I had ordered, some stuff for my son. It wasn't as good. We went to the Windjammer. It was fantastic. But Disney Cruise Line, we did room service a couple of times on the Magic, and it was fantastic. So room service, gotta give it to Disney Cruise Line. And not only is the food good and there's a lot of options, but it is still complimentary, which is something that Royal Caribbean did start charging for a couple years ago. Okay, so category number 6 is the casino. This one's easy because Disney Cruise Line doesn't have casinos. So Royal Caribbean gets this one. I think it just depends on what, you like as a person, is if not having a casino on a cruise ship is going to be, a deal breaker, then you're not going to like Disney Cruise Line. For us, we didn't miss it on the Magic. We always enjoy going to the casino 1 or 2 nights, or maybe even every night of the cruise. I probably would have enjoyed not having a casino this last trip because I did end up losing, the money that I bet, but I only take $100 with me to bet. I did win quite a bit the first night, and then I lost it all the last night of the cruise. So probably would have been better off not having a casino. But obviously, if you do like casinos, then you're going to like Royal Caribbean because there just aren't any casinos on Disney Cruise Line. Now, category 7 are the shows and entertainment. So this one is tough, but I will say, you got to remember, Disney is an entertainment company that happens to have a cruise line. Royal Caribbean is a cruise line that has entertainment on its ship. So this one's really not fair, but I will say Royal Caribbean has really stepped up its game in recent years. If you get on the Oasis class ships, they have Broadway style shows. They have Chicago. I know Hairspray. Greece we were supposed to see Greece on the Allure. That ship, that cruise did get canceled, but I was really looking forward to seeing that show. Chicago is one of my favorites. I can't remember what ship we saw it on, but it was fantastic. I'm not a fan of Hairspray, so we watched a little bit of it, but I'm just not a fan of the show. But it was a great performance. It's just not my favorite show. And the other shows are good. You also have on the Oasis class ships, you have the dive shows, which are incredible. And then so many of the ships do have their ice skating. So they have the ice skating shows. So those are incredible as well. So there's a lot of different options, especially when you get on the mega ships. I have not been on a Quantum class ship yet. We are booked on the Odyssey in March. So really looking forward to seeing the entertainment in that style ship. But again, you got Disney. Disney is an entertainment company. So I gotta give the entertainment and the shows to Disney Cruise Line. The shows and the entertainment that was on, the Dream, we went to a lot. We went to some, but my son was only 1, so we didn't really go to too much. We didn't go to the Golden Mickeys. I know we haven't seen that show, But I remember seeing the last show and I really enjoyed it. But the magic was just incredible. And then the Marvel Day at Sea show that they had on the deck was incredible. I mean, you had Spider-Man coming in and it was just amazing. They had, the pirate show with Mickey ziplining in was incredible on the pool deck. It was just great entertainment. Then the actual shows, and their Broadway style show on the Magic was Tangled, and it was so good. I will say though, that show is not necessarily for little kids. If your child really loves the cartoon movie, they may enjoy the show, but it's a long show and it's a Broadway style production. I really enjoyed it. Tangled is one of my favorite movies, but it was about an hour and 5 minutes, and about 40 minutes in, my son was done. We literally just had to give him something to play with on the floor so that we could continue to watch, and fortunately he was distracted enough where he was able to kind of blast through the rest of the show, but he was done. So it was a little bit too long. He was 4 at the time. He may last a little bit longer, but some of the shows are still just amazing. And then that's where I would say like the Rapunzel's Royal Table show, because that's, even though it's part of dinner, it is entertainment. That to me was the highlight of our cruise. Like that and Marvel Day, that was my favorite show, was that entertainment during dinner with at Rapunzel's Royal Table. The interaction with the characters, they came around, they were so in character. The one guy he literally pulled out ceramic unicorns and was playing with my son with ceramic unicorns. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Hook Hand was amazing. I still follow him on Instagram. Hi, Bobby. Just so incredible. I mean, the Rapunzel, she's beautiful voice, just amazing. And it was just an incredible show and I loved it. And it was the way we started off our trip, so it was so incredible. I just loved it. So entertainment and shows, Disney Cruise Line's got this one. Okay, so number 8 is the spa. So this is more of an adult type of category because you're not going to have a kid using the spa, but I have used both spas. I usually do a service, some sort of service during each cruise, and I did one on the Magic. I think I did one on the Dream. I can't remember. It was a short cruise, and definitely did one on the Symphony. I did not do one this past cruise. If you watched my vlog on the Freedom, there was a reason why, but I don't even know if I would have had time anyway. But I gotta say, this one is a draw. This is a tie because both have fantastic spas. I think the spas on every ship, they're kind of very similar. There's not going to be one that's better or the worse. I think they all offer very similar services, very similar prices. So the spa, it's a draw. Okay, so for number 9 is going to be the pools, the splash area for kids, the slides, and other activities. So on the Magic, there were 2 slides. There was the drop one, and then there was one that was kind of near the kids splash area, and you had to climb up, and there was usually a long line, unless we did it a lot when we were in Key West, when we were in port, so the line wasn't that long, but it was long line. We never did, I think it's the Aqua Dunk where you drop. We never did that. I would be terrified of it, but my husband never did it, and it was too big for my son. We never got to do the slides on the Dream. We put my son in the nursery. He was only 1 at the time. There was one point where we put him in the nursery and we went to go do the slide. I think it was the Aqueduct, and it was too windy. We were in port at Castaway Cay. We had gotten back on the ship, and it was too windy, so it was closed. So we never got to use that. Now on the other ships, on the Freedom, they have added the Perfect Storm, which is 2 really large slides. I did not use it because I'm not a big slide person, and you have to be 48 inches, and my son is only about 43 right now. They've added that. They have that now on a lot of the other ships. Now also with the Oasis class ships, you have rock climbing, the Flow Rider, you have the zip line on the Oasis class ships, you have 2 Flow Riders on the Oasis class ships, mini golf. There's just a lot of things to do on Freedom, on the Royal Caribbean ships. Now, talking about the kids splash area, because as a mom of a 5-year-old, that is probably the biggest area for me. The pools, pretty much the same. You have the movies. I enjoyed watching. The only time I've ever watched Ratatouille was on the Disney Magic while we were in the pool, which was really cool. They obviously have movies playing on, or things playing while you were at Royal Caribbean ships, but there's something about watching a Disney movie. But the pools are very similar. The splash pads, though, the Splash Away Bay that they have, and the one specifically that they had on the Freedom, is incredible. It was just so good. My son, I mean, he was there for a good 2 hours. I had to literally pull him off to feed him because I was like, you need to eat something. And I needed to reapply sunscreen. He just didn't want to stop. He just kept going and going. It had like 2 bigger slides, which were 42 inches minimum requirement. Then they had some smaller slides. They had like a little splash wading pool. Then they had some like a baby area. They just had a lot of area. Then it was also designed really well because there was a bar right there, also, which was great as a parent. I didn't use it, but it's still very appreciated. And then you had a Local Fresh for food, so you could just go and get food. Just really, and then the best thing I think was the whirlpool. They had 2 hot tubs right next to it, so you could literally, as a parent, be in the hot tub and watch your child at Splash Away Bay. Genius. Like, whoever designed that was genius. They have a Splash Away Bay on the other ships as well. We were on the ones on the Symphony. Again, my son was a little smaller then. He couldn't use the slides, but it was still fantastic. So for this one, I gotta give it to Royal Caribbean. Like, it really, the Nemo's Reef was fun. It was cute, but it doesn't compare to Splash Away Bay on the Royal Caribbean ships. Okay, so number 10 are the cruise line's private islands. So when I'm thinking of the private island, there's 2. Royal Caribbean has 2. They have Perfect Day at Coco Cay, and then they have Labadee. Now Labadee I went to Labadee years ago and there was nothing. And it's definitely gone through a big transformation. They have the zip line, they have the Dragon's Tail coaster. I have one of the first point of views on my YouTube channel from like 2009. We were one of the first people to ride it, which is crazy because I really didn't have a YouTube channel then. I just put it on YouTube and it's got like 30,000 views, which is weird. But they have that. They have a lot of different things. I haven't been to Labadee. God, I can't even remember. So I can't really compare too much to Labadee. So when I'm doing this comparison, I'm going to be comparing Castaway Cay to Coco Cay. And so Castaway Cay, there's a couple of things you have. You have the beach. There is like a play area, but it's in the water. And the one thing as a parent that I loved at Castaway Cay was it had a kids club on the island. So my husband and I wanted to run the 5K, so we were able to take our son, drop him off at the kids club, and then we were able to go and run the 5K, which was great. Now it's just kind of like this area. There's some things to play at. He was building a sandcastle. When I'm telling you, when we picked him up, he was head to toe covered in sand. I mean, head to toe. Like, there was sand. It took us, I think, probably not until we got home did we get all the sand out of his head because he had so much sand in his hair. So that's something that definitely Castaway Cay has over Royal Caribbean, is having that kids club. And it's especially helpful when you want to do any sort of excursions or you want to run the 5K. Now, Coco Cay. I went to Coco Cay years ago. There was nothing. It was just basically a beach, some huts with, where you ate, there's a bar, and that was pretty much it. You did some snorkeling and everything. And then they made Perfect Day at Coco Cay. And when we went on the Symphony in 2019, Coco Cay was not on our itinerary. We were supposed to go to Nassau and have a sea day. About a week before the sailing, all of a sudden we got an email saying that Coco Cay, Perfect Day at Coco Cay had been completed early and they were now changing our sea day to Perfect Day at Coco Cay. We were one of the first people. I think we were the 3rd ship to be on that island. We were blown away. It still wasn't finished. Coco Beach Club wasn't finished yet, but the water park was, as well as other, Oasis Lagoon, the Splash Away Bay, and that's where we stayed. So as far as Coco Cay is concerned, we've never paid for any of the excursions on Coco Cay. Anything we've done has been part of the complimentary. The things you have to pay for obviously are excursions if you want to go snorkeling, anything like that. But then also Thrill Water Park is extra, as well as the Cocoa Beach Club. But it's not necessary. Is it nice? Sure, if that's your thing, great. But you do have like the cabanas at Castaway Cay too, which are expensive. But everything on Coco Cay, the Splashaway Bay, that I have a video from 2019, and then pretty much we spent a lot of time there this past cruise in 2021 on July 4th. It's incredible. Now, the good thing about that Splashaway Bay is that the slides there are, the minimum height is 36 inches. So when we went in 2019, my son wasn't tall enough to go on the slides on the ship, but he was tall enough to go to the ones on Coco Cay. So that really made a huge difference for us. There's that obstacle course type thing on Splashaway Bay. It's just really, really designed really well. And you could spend all day there. They also have that Harbor Beach where we went to this past trip. My son loved it. I loved it. The water was great. I'm not a beach person. I love this particular beach. And there's also the Oasis Lagoon. So the Oasis Lagoon is a pool, 0 entry with a swim up bar. Castaway Cay, loved it. The beach, but it's pretty much a beach. And there's excursions. We loved it. We were able to get a cabana with another family, and we loved having the cabana. Like, the cabana really made Castaway Cay great, especially when a storm came through and we had a place to kind of hang out, let the storm pass, and then continue enjoying their day, where most everybody else went back to the ship. But if I gotta compare it, Royal Caribbean gets this one. Coco Cay has everything. And I know people have said, oh, Castaway Cay is so much better. And I love it. But I think that people who've maybe been to Coco Cay, they're thinking the old Coco Cay before it had became Perfect Day at Coco Cay. So this one's going to go to Royal Caribbean. I think they're both great. But as far as like things to do, Coco Cay takes this one. Okay, so number 11 is going to be the characters. So this one's going to be kind of easy because while Royal Caribbean used to have an arrangement with DreamWorks, that has since expired and they did not renew it from my understanding, so they no longer have characters on their ship. Now, we're thinking this is obviously, I'm recording this in July 2021. We don't know what it's going to be like when it returns, but we do believe that, character meets will return in, eventually in some format. And that is a big part of Disney Cruise Line. So for this one, obviously Disney Cruise Line is going to get the point. Now, the good thing about the characters is it's a great way to meet characters. They get great pictures. They spend a lot of time with you. But on the flip side of that is it takes a lot of time. And one of the things I noticed on the Freedom of the Seas was I relaxed a lot more because I wasn't running from this character meet to that character meet into this character meet, or to do this and to do that. It was a lot more relaxing. So that's just me also, because when I'm on a Disney cruise, I kind of feel like I got to do everything. Where in this, on the Royal Caribbean, I kind of relaxed a little bit more. So that could be, having all the characters could just add a little bit more stress. But it is a special touch. It is so nice. And one of the things that's different about meeting the characters on the ship is they see you again and again. So by like the third night of our 5-night cruise on the Disney Magic, you'd had Spider-Man saying, "Hi, Ryder." And, my son just thinking it was no big deal that Spider-Man knew his name. Same thing with the princesses. They knew my son's name. And because they see you several times and they meet you, so they kind of see you over and over. And especially with the smaller ships like Magic and Wonder, I felt more of an intimate connection with the characters, especially the face characters that talk. They got to know you, and they especially got to know your children. So my son had like a special bond, with Rapunzel and Cinderella and Ariel. And, he just thought it was like no big deal that he was having these conversations with, princesses and Spider-Man and Thor. We saw Thor walking through the hall. It was no big deal. So that's something special. And I hate to say it, it's magical. But that's one of the things that's what's the money. That's why you pay the extra money for Disney Cruise Line, is for those magical moments. And they are magical. And there's that special time frame when your children are a certain age where they believe it all, and it's just normal for them, and it's so special. So characters, obviously Disney Cruise Line is going to get it, and that's the reason why you pay the premium for Disney Cruise Line, are those characters. Okay, so number 12 is the Kids Club. So there's two types of the Kids Club. So we have the Kids Club on Disney Cruise Line. So when my son has done both the nurseries on both cruise lines, and he's been in the Kids Club on both cruise lines. Now he was only in the actual Kids Club on the Magic, not the Dream. He was in the nursery in the Dream. So first of all, the nursery on both were fantastic. He did really great with the nurseries, never had a problem. So I think they're great. Now the nurseries, they do charge you, but it's great to have that time as a parent, especially if your child is, like 1. It's kind of like you get a date night, but you don't have to go too far. So it's really nice. But as far as the Kids Club, there's two different things. So on the Magic, and I believe this is how it's all on the other ship, is that it's basically one big kids club, and it's like the Oceaneers Lab and the Oceaneers Club, and it's one big, so all the ages are together. My understanding is that years ago it used to be divided up, but then families that had multiple children, they didn't want the kids split up, so then they made the areas one big area. So if you have multiple children, you might like that. My son being 4, being an only child, that was a problem. He still enjoyed the kids club. He loved going, but he didn't know anybody. And then he would try and play with some of the older kids, but the older kids didn't want to play with him. And some of the activities that they would do weren't geared towards a child that was 4. They were geared towards, a little bit older, because there were so many different ages. So he really struggled sometimes. And there was twice that we got calls that he wanted to be picked up. So as a parent, that's just heartbreaking, because he was really looking forward to the kids club. Now, he still wanted to go back. It wasn't like he didn't want to go back, but there was just times, and what we understood was that the times that he asked to be picked up was because, another child didn't want to play with him, and he just was sad and he wanted to be picked up. So, that happens. But if you have multiple children, that type of environment might be a better suited. Now, with Royal Caribbean, they have what's called the Adventure Ocean. And they have Adventure Ocean Juniors, which is 3 to 5, and then Adventure Ocean, which is, I think, 6 to 12. And when we went, now my son has obviously only done Adventure Ocean Juniors, and I will say he did it, he did a little bit. He did a nursery and he did Adventure Ocean Juniors on the Symphony. He did a little bit of both, and he had a great time in both. This time I was almost concerned, because he's closer to 6 than he is to 5, and definitely closer than he is to 6 than he is to 3. So I was kind of afraid that it was going to be too baby for him. No, it wasn't. The staff in there geared the activities to the ages of the kids that were there. Fortunately for him, he also met kids that were his age. That helped. But there were a couple 3-year-olds in there as well. But he had an amazing time. And even the times where he was alone and he was the only child there, the staff were playing with him, and he was having a ball. So that breakup. Now, if you have multiple children, then they may be split up. So if you have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, they're going to be split up. So some families might find that difficult. So it really depends on your family. But I will say both are fantastic. I think the next time, and when we go on The Wish in June 2022, I can't believe that's happening. My son is going to be 6.5 at that point. So I think it's going to be a much different experience than when we were on the Magic, just because he's going to be older and he's probably more comfortable meeting new kids and playing with older kids. So I think it'll be better suited for him as well. So I think it also depends on, if you have an only child, how old are they? How are they meeting at new people, etc. So it really just depends on your family. So for the kids club, I'm going to have to call it a draw, because it really just depends on your family. But I think both are incredible. And I say that because I've heard other people and Disney experts who don't have kids say, oh, Disney Cruise Line is far superior kids club than any other cruise line. But these people don't have children, which I don't understand. Like, how can you relate? One, how do you know? And I can't speak for other cruise lines because I've only been on Royal Caribbean or Disney Cruise Line with a child, but both, my son's had amazing times in both. Obviously, he had a difficult time in the Disney Kids Club, but I think it was the age and the experience, but I think the next time he'll be older and it'll be better suited for him. So again, I think it's geared towards your family, your child, and what it's going to be suited for, but I think both are fantastic. The staff is incredible, and I think your child is going to have fun in either one. And category 13 is the crew. So I'm going to just lay it out there. This is a draw. The crew on both are amazing. Now, I love the crew on the Disney Cruise Line. We had an amazing time. The crew on the Freedom of the Seas was incredible. It was also their first cruise back, so I'm sure they were just so excited to be back. But I've had just amazing times on both. We've had I can remember this head waiter that cut my steak in 2008 on our first cruise with my husband. Like, those are the things I remember. Like those special crew members, our stateroom attendants that go above and beyond. Anna Lee, I think that was her name, in the Diamond Lounge on the Freedom was incredible. Like, she was just eager to help. And I've had just amazing experiences on both cruise ships or both cruise lines with different crew members. So the crew, cruise lines, that's a really hard job. No matter where your job is, whether it's the casino, stateroom attendant, no matter what, those people work hard. And I think you also have to want to be there and want to work there. So I've had amazing experiences on both. So with this, I'm going to say it's a draw because both have some of the best crew on board. So the final total is we have 5 categories that are a tie, 4 for Royal Caribbean, and 4 for Disney Cruise Line. So you probably kind of knew this was where it was coming because I really can't pick between the two. Both are amazing. I love both cruise lines. Now, one of the things I forgot to mention when I talked about price is a comment that I always hear that every other cruise line nickels and dimes you. Like, oh, they nickel and dime you for everything. The only thing that Royal Caribbean charges extra for is, I would say, room service, which I did mention, and then the soda package. Like, you get free soda on Disney Cruise Line, but you have to pay for it on Royal Caribbean. One, we don't drink a lot of soda, so it's not a big deal. But the drink package or the soda package on Royal Caribbean runs about $9 a day. So this last cruise, it cost me less than $30. And if we were supposed to get this, for the January cruise, we got it for our whole family, it would be less than $100. Well, the Disney Dream is, $1,400 more than the cruise we booked on the Freedom. So, $90 versus $1,400, so I don't think they nickel and dime you like you think. I think that's the misconception. And that's people that maybe haven't cruised on other lines. So, it depends. If you really love soda, figure it out. Is it worth, a lot of extra money? Now, not to say that Disney is not worth the extra money. Like I said, there are experiences that you're going to get on Disney that you're not going to get on other cruise lines. And the experiences really come down to those character interactions, those Disney type shows. If you have a Disney princess loving 4-year-old daughter or boy that just loves Disney characters or Marvel or Star Wars, then a Disney Cruise Line may be worth it for you. But if you have an adventure-seeking preteen who wants to zip line and go on, water slides, then maybe Royal Caribbean's for you. It's really about picking what's best suited for your family, and also know that it's just a different product. It's not a lesser experience, and I said that earlier, but it's like going to Disney versus Universal. One's not better than the other. It's just, they're 2 different products. They're apples and oranges. So, I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video, because I see a lot of times people say, I can't really afford a Disney cruise. I'm going to book on Royal Caribbean. And people will say, oh, but Disney Cruise Line is worth it. And here's this person saying, I can't afford a Disney cruise. And people will go and say, well, you're just basically going to have a lesser experience because you're not going on Disney. And that's not true. Will you have an amazing time on Disney Cruise Line? Yes. But if you can't afford the money, or you want to have a week-long cruise versus a 3-night cruise, and in order to do that you have to go on, Royal Caribbean or another line, then that's fine. Just pick the line that's worth for your family. And that's one of the things that bothers me sometimes. And I don't want to get this into a preachy type, part of the video, but that's the reason why I wanted to do this video, because as a fan of both cruise lines, I wanted to say that they are both great. They have their pros, they have their cons. They each have their own thing. So do your research, see what works for your family. And I will say, to me, the ports are the least of the concern, especially in the Caribbean. Now, if you're going to Europe, that's different. But in the Caribbean, the ports are my least of my concerns. I go on a cruise for the ships. Maybe that's because we've been on so many Caribbean cruises, but I really go for, the ship. So, and then obviously, making sure there's at least a stop on a private island, whether it's Disney or Royal Caribbean, because that's always a big fun stop for us. But don't think that if you can't afford Disney Cruise Line that you're going to get a lesser experience on Royal Caribbean, because Royal Caribbean does have things to offer. And some of the things, like I said, some of the things it does excel Disney on. So with that, tell me what you think in the comments. If you think I'm completely off base, let me know. But I will say, any negative comments to either cruise line, I am going to delete. So anything, you can give critiques, but I don't want to have any this debate this, anything negative, overtly negative. So, but leave your comments. Why do you love, a specific cruise line? What do you love best on Royal Caribbean? What do you love best on Disney Cruise Line? Let's keep the comments very positive, and I will leave it at that. So, if you like this video, click like, click and subscribe. That way you get a notification every time I post a new video. Bye, everyone.